everybody. I wanted to give you some feedback on one of our discussions this week. In particular, I want to focus on the discussion around the simulation you did um, in terms of trying to understand what it might be, even for just a small moment in time, to have autism. So many of you talked about feeling really like you were emotionally on edge, or the distractions were really bothering you, or it was just that sensory overload was a little bit too much to process. And imagine that's only for one, moment while you're doing this simulation. Imagine feeling like that 24/7 and what that must do to somebody. Um, the piece that I really wanted to focus on is, as a classroom teacher, if you have a student who you know has autism and who you know may be in constant sensory overload, so that you can better understand their behaviors and their reactions, so that when that sensory overload becomes too much, the student has what some teachers will refer to as a meltdown. So that might be when you see a student that might be screaming or trying to really not be able to handle their own emotions, right? So one of the discussions that I found particularly interesting, and it seems like it sums things up a little bit, is when Cami talked about the feelings and the sensations, and trying to says here, by taking a step back, I mean taking a moment to think about what it's like to be in their shoes. And then Andrew, your response to her in terms of that fight or flight response to sensory stimulation is really key. So that's what we see with students with autism. Well, sometimes it is that fight or flight because they want to get out of that situation. They don't want to feel that way with the sensory overload anymore. So these are important things for you to remember when you have students in your class with disabilities, especially if you have a student with autism, and trying to understand their behavior, trying to understand what it must be like to feel the way they did. So anyway, I just wanted to comment and let you know that I enjoyed reading your discussion this week. And I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing this coming week, week 11, which will now be open for you. So this week we're going to be talking about students who are gifted and talented. And I have an activity that I want you to do. You're going to watch a brief video. You're going to obviously read chapter 15. You've got your notes here as well. You're going to be doing a screencasting activity. And the reason I'm going to have you do this is in preparation for part 3 of your learner analysis. So part 3 is when you do your digital story and you actually do some screencasting, which is what I'm doing now, when you record what's on your computer screen and talk to us, so that you're recording your voice, your image, as well as the screen. So you'll see over here there's an explanation for what I want you to do. You're going to be reviewing the National Association for Gifted Children website, and you're going to do a screencast and pick a particular element of the website that you want to learn more about. There are a number of topics there and resources for teachers, so I want you to explore those. And then create 3 or 4 slides and walk us through the slides in terms of what you found on that website that you really enjoyed and something that will be helpful for you as a classroom teacher. This is an important chapter because remember too that students with disabilities can also be gifted. So I want you to always recognize that we're going to always look at students' strengths first, and recognize that a student with learning disabilities can also be gifted. A student with autism can also be gifted. So always focus on the student's strengths, and bookmark that NAGC website for future reference. So I look forward to this week's screencast that you'll do. And again, it'll be due on Friday as opposed to Wednesday. So have a great week, everybody.